Okay, let's dive in. Picture this, if you will. A landscape so desolate, so relentlessly parched. The earth itself feels like it's, dry and cracked, like old broken porcelain under this huge, unforgiving sky.
Brittle.
Exactly. And the wind doesn't whisper secrets. It feels like it carries nothing but dust and this old sorrow, maybe something ancient nobody even talks about anymore.
Right. A heavy silence.
Yeah. We're in the American West here. Vast, untamed, beautiful in a way, but also incredibly harsh, isolated, full of these deep-seated fears. And right there, in the middle of it all, there is this lone figure, a woman, Hannah More. She's up before dawn, not contemplating life, but wrestling with a broken fence post.
Just trying to hold things together.
Desperately praying, not for some miracle, but just that the last few drops in the well will last till morning. Her whole world feels as broken as the land.
It's a powerful image to start with.
Now, think about this. In that stark, isolated world, Hannah encounters someone. Not a neighbor, not a friend, a wounded man, incredibly vulnerable. And here's the thing. He's from a group, a people she's been taught her entire life to fear. The stories whispered about raids, burning farms, children stolen in the night.
Those deep frontier fears.
Right. He's Apache, bleeding, dying, right there on her land. And everything inside her, every warning she's ever heard, from church, from the saloons, it's screaming, run, turn away.
Instinct. Self-preservation.
So here's the question for you listening right now. What would you do in that exact moment?
Yeah.
Terrified, alone, would you walk away, let that fear win, or would you do something else? Would you offer a hand? Offer just a single cup of water, precious water, and risk absolutely everything.
It's a profound choice.
It really is. And today, we're diving headfirst into this incredibly compelling narrative. Our source material is this amazing transcribed account. It's from a YouTube channel called Unbelievable Tales 22. And it tells the story of Hannah More and this wounded Apache warrior. It goes way beyond just a frontier tale. We're looking for those powerful nuggets of insight, about survival, about these alliances you'd never expect, and about how trust, belonging, how they can quietly grow in the most unlikely, frankly, dangerous situations.
Yeah.
So our mission today, let's pull apart this incredible account. Let's explore how one single act of kindness, like a truly radical act in that context,
Right.
how it can ripple outwards, change a whole life, completely redefine what home means, and maybe even challenge the prejudices of a whole community.
It's a story that asks us to look deeper, doesn't it? Beyond the surface fears.
Exactly, to find that human connection buried under all that fear and, well, what society expects.
And it grabs you immediately,
Right.
Because it sets up this huge human dilemma against such a brutal backdrop.
Totally.
It's not just about, physical survival out west. It's about, can shared humanity survive? Can empathy survive in a place designed to crush it? The environment itself, it's like another character pushing her right to the edge. The desperate calm before the storm. Hannah More's world.
And what an environment. The source paints this picture of Hannah's world, and it is just overwhelmingly bleak. We're told the land itself is dry, cracked, like broken porcelain beneath the endless sky. You can almost feel it, can't you?
You can, that texture, that fragility.
The wind.
Yeah.
It just rasps through this brittle grass, carrying dust, sure, but also old sorrow and something ancient no one spoke of anymore.
Wow. That's evocative. It's not just barren land, it's haunted land in a way.
Yeah, it feels steeped in hardship, like the past is right there breathing down your neck.
Absolutely. It's not just visual, it's visceral. That broken porcelain image, it says so much about fragility, about life teetering on the edge.
Right.
This place isn't just challenging, it feels actively hostile.
Yeah.
Like it's draining the life out of everything.
Yeah.
And the wind carrying old sorrow, that something ancient. It suggests this heavy history, unresolved stuff lingering, affecting the present. It really sets a tone of struggle before we even fully meet Hannah.
A land that's seen too much, given too little. That's a good way to put it. And Hannah's reality, it just perfectly mirrors that desolate landscape. She's up before dawn, like we said, not enjoying the quiet, but wrestling with a broken fence post.
A constant battle.
Yeah, against decay, against everything falling apart. And her prayer, it's heartbreakingly simple, just hoping the well water lasts till morning.
Basic survival.
The source says there wasn't much left. Not of the water, not of her money, and not of her will.
Oof. That dwindling will, that's heavy.
It is. Her husband, James, died the winter before, of fever. The town, Dry hollow.
Her only connection.
Right. They buried him quickly and forgotten him even quicker, left her totally, completely alone. Facing grief, yes, but also just sheer destitution.
And that detail about her dwindling will is so crucial, isn't it?
Yeah. Tell me why.
Because it means her later actions,
Yeah.
her choices, they aren't coming from a place of strength or comfort. She's already worn down.
Right. She's acting from rock bottom.
No, exactly. Which makes her compassion, her choice, even more remarkable.
Sure.
And being a widow then, especially out there, it wasn't just personal loss. It was economic disaster waiting to happen.
Her whole world, the ranch, all she had now, just incredibly vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the land or the grief weighing her down. It's the town. Dry hollow.
The societal pressure.
Oh, yeah. They look at her with the same tired eyes they gave to women who didn't know their place.
Judgment. Pure and simple.
Too young to be alone, too stubborn to remarry. That's how they see her. Quietly condemning her.
Placing the blame on her.
Yeah. And she lives a mile out, past the mesquite trees where only the desperate or the brave kept homes.
Wow.
And the source says, pretty brutally, most days Hannah wasn't sure which one she was.
That's a heavy burden. To be judged just for existing in a tough spot you didn't choose?
It really is. This societal pressure kind of forcing this identity on her that even she questions.
It is. You've got this multi-layered vulnerability, right? Environmental, personal, societal,
Yeah.
all pressing down on her.
Yeah.
And that societal judgment, it's cutting. It's not just that she's alone, it's that she's seen as breaking the rules by being alone. Too stubborn to remarry. That implies it's her fault.
Right. Like she's choosing this struggle.
Exactly. This pressure, combined with everything else, it creates this feeling of being trapped, utterly desperate. And it makes you think, doesn't it? Have you, listening, ever felt isolated like that? Judged by your community, struggling against things that feel too big.
It makes her next choice, this radical choice she's about to make, even braver. She's not just defying her own fear, she's defying her whole world.
Right. The key thing here is how deeply those societal pressures can impact someone, make them question their own worth. B, the unforeseen encounter, a cup of water, a radical choice.
Okay, so the scene is perfectly set for this moment that changes everything. A confrontation with fate, maybe, with prejudice. The wind shifts, and there's this sign, a buzzard, circled high above, slow and wide.
Oh, classic bad omen.
Totally. And that's when she sees him. At first, just a bundle of blankets, maybe left by travelers.
Yeah.
But then, no. It's a man lying on his side, chest rising faintly, blood staining the earth, dark and cracked like rust.
Wow.
And the details the source gives, they're so specific, kind of unsettling. Long black hair, wore no boots, deerskin shirt torn open.
Showing the wound.
Yeah, deep enough to show bone. And then the detail that just freezes her blood. The necklace beads and a feather, patchy.
And there it is, the pivot point.
Exactly.
Yeah, it immediately signals death, distress. This encounter is unavoidable now.
Right.
And the way the source reveals him, first the anonymous bundle, then the wound showing how bad it is. He's right on the edge.
Clearly dying.
And then the necklace, Apache. That's where the universal need of a dying person smashes right into her ingrained fears, the prejudices of her time.
A direct challenge to everything she knows. And those fears, those biases she grew up with, they hit her instantly. Her heart slammed against her ribs.
You can feel it.
Every story she had heard growing up surged forward. Tales of raids, burning farms, stolen children.
All the horror stories.
Yeah, not just whispers, but warnings whispered in church pews, curses spat in saloons. It's deep in her bones.
Right. Part of the cultural fabric.
So her first reaction, pure instinct, she took a step back, another. Retreat. Fear. Just like she's been taught.
And that's a powerful look at how deep that societal fear runs, isn't it? It's almost instinctual.
Yeah.
It's not like she's thinking rationally about this specific man's threat level. It's this surge of inherited terror.
Yeah.
Collective memory, almost.
Passed down generation to generation.
Exactly. Telling her this man is a threat.
So stepping back. Completely understandable. Logical, even, for self-preservation in that context.
But then he moves.
Ah.
And it's not a lunge, not a threat, just a low-pained groan as he tried and failed to lift his head.
Humanizing him instantly. Yeah. Suddenly, he's not the monster from the stories. He's just dying. Slowly. Painfully.
Vulnerable.
And Hannah looks around. No one. The road's quiet. The town would not send help. They wouldn't care if a wounded Apache bled into the earth.
Harsh reality.
She thinks she should have walked away. She knew that. The source really emphasizes that internal fight, but she doesn't walk away.
And this is it, the pivot, the act of defiance.
It's her conscience kicks in.
Right. His vulnerability, that groan, it cuts through the fear. He stops being the other and becomes just a suffering human being.
Right there in front of her.
And her inner thoughts.
No one.
Town wouldn't help. She
Yeah.
walked away. That shows she knows the risk. She knows the disapproval she'll face.
Totally conscious of it.
So not just instinct, it's a conscious moral choice made when there's zero outside pressure, zero expectation of reward, just empathy over fear, which is radical, especially there then.
And what a choice. Instead of running, she turns back toward the barn. Comes back moments later, not with weapon. With a dented tin cup filled with well water, precious nearly gone.
Wow, that water, it's life.
Yeah.
Especially there.
She kneels beside him, lifts his head gently, and placed the cup to his lips.
Incredible tenderness.
His eyes flickered open, dark, unreadable, wild and fixed on hers. A tense moment. Then, slowly his lips parted. He drank.
Just a sip.
It was only a sip, but it was enough. Just pure compassion.
Wait.
Flying in the face of every reason not to.
This crystallizes everything. Giving water. It's not just kindness. It asserts that shared humanity is stronger than fear, stronger than prejudice.
Even when water is precious, nearly gone.
Especially then. It's a profound gift. Give it at immense personal risk. And his eyes, dark, unreadable, wild, suggest that huge gulf between their worlds.
Yeah.
But that sip, it's a bridge across that gulf, a nonverbal connection, just pure human contact, bypassing all the bias, defiant empathy, and the core thing here. Profound compassion isn't always loud gestures. Sometimes it's a simple act that completely defies the context.
And the aftermath of that sip, it's just filled with uncertainty. She sets the cup down, rises, trembling. She thinks maybe he'll grab her, curse her.
Holding her breath.
But no. Instead, he looked at her for a long second, then he closed his eyes and exhaled almost in peace.
Wow. Recognition.
Hannah turns, walks back to the house, the weight of it all hitting her, unsure if she just saved a life or invited death onto her land. That feeling is so real.
And that uncertainty, her trembling.
Yeah.
It shows her courage, right? This wasn't easy. Not simple charity.
No way.
It was radical. Reckless, maybe from a practical view, but driven by something deeper. And his response, closing his eyes almost in peace, that validates her act immediately.
Like he understands the gift.
Exactly. Exhaustion giving way to a flicker of hope. That connection made with just water, it breaks through the hostility and leaves you wondering, what happens now? What are the consequences of this kindness? See, the morning after, surrounded by the unimaginable.
And the consequences arrive.
Right.
Fast
Yeah.
and dramatic. That night, Hannah didn't sleep. Just anxiety, right? The silent dread.
Waiting for the other shoe to drop.
And before the sun's even fully up, there's this sound, not thunder from the sky. Thunder rolled across the dirt from the earth.
Oh, that's ominous.
Dozens of hooves, dozens of warriors, all riding toward her ranch. The ground is shaking. They appear like ghosts from the horizon.
Wow. Silent, fast.
Yeah, tight formation, silent but fast, heading for her ranch, like a heartbeat growing louder. It must have been terrifying. Overwhelming.
That image, thunder from the earth,
Yeah.
so effective, signals this powerful, imminent threat.
Unstoppable.
And like ghosts, it evokes dread, something almost supernatural, their quiet, disciplined approach
Yeah.
that's way scarier than just noise and chaos.
Right, it feels purposeful.
Which, given all the fear and prejudice, must have been absolutely bone-chilling for Hannah. This is the immediate test of that bond from just hours before.
And Hannah, frozen on the porch, gripping that old rifle her husband left.
The unloaded one.
Yeah. It wasn't loaded, she didn't know how to fire it, but she thinks it made her feel less naked. A desperate comfort.
A symbol of trying to be strong when she's totally vulnerable.
And then they're there. Warriors on every side, their faces painted in quiet rage, feathers trailing. Nobody shouts, nobody points a weapon, but their presence was a warning.
Intimidating. Silent power.
And then she sees him, the wounded man, riding at the front.
He recovered quickly.
Sitting upright but pale, blood still fresh on his sleeve. He gets off his horse, slowly, his eyes never leaving hers.
The moment of truth.
Yeah, a quiet reckoning.
That unloaded rifle,
Mm-hmm.
so poignant. It's just this symbol of false security.
Mm-hmm.
And the warrior's silent rage,
Mm-hmm.
so much more intense than yelling. Speaks to their discipline, their purpose.
Totally.
And the wounded man, the one she helped, showing up at the front, recovered enough to ride. It's undeniable proof of what she did. His stare must have been terrifying, but maybe hopeful to.
A reckoning, yeah. Bringing the consequences right to her door.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens next? It's just extraordinary. He steps toward her, limping, quiet, a strange dignity to him, even with the pain. Stops just a few feet away, raises one arm, speaks one single word. She gave.
Wow, she gave.
The other warriors, totally still, waiting. Then he turns to them, speaks in Apache, something she can't understand, but whatever he said, it changed everything.
Instantly.
It's just like that. The whole vibe shifts.
That single word, she gave.
Yeah.
Incredibly powerful, isn't it? It's a statement of fact, a declaration of debt, a command, almost.
Yeah.
It elevates her act from just kindness to something profound, culturally significant within their code of honor.
Right.
And the instant change. Weapons lowered, eyes softened. That tells you everything about their sense of honor, the sacredness of giving life.
It's not just charity to them.
No. It's a connection that overrides fear, prejudice. It's a powerful counterstory to how Native Americans were usually portrayed then, right? Reveals this complex moral framework. Honor here isn't about power. It's about profound reciprocity.
And just like that, the warriors start to leave. Some with a glance back, others without a word. All except one, the wounded man.
He stays.
He walks past her toward the barn and, without asking, sat in the shade near the water trough, like he had always belonged there.
Surreal. After all that tension.
Totally.
Yeah.
Quietly integrating himself.
Yeah, that highlights that concept of honor and reciprocity, right?
Yeah.
So different from the civilized ideas of the time. Saving a life creates this unbreakable bond.
A counter-narrative.
Exactly. And him just sitting there like he'd always belonged, it's an unspoken claim, not of conquest, but of an earned right, a fulfilled obligation.
He's not asking for shelter.
He's fulfilling a duty. He transforms from the threat into this unexpected protector. It shows belonging isn't always about an invitation. Sometimes it's about actions creating that connection.
But Hannah, she's still processing, still scared, but maybe differently now.
Understandably.
She's standing there thinking the town would never believe it. They'd say she was cursed or worse, traitorous.
Yeah, the social fallout.
She can already hear the whispers. That widow's gone mad, took in a savage, they'll slit her throat.
Oh yeah, that fear is real.
She walks toward him, still holding the empty rifle, tells him, you shouldn't be here, they'll come looking. Almost pleading. I gave you water, not shelter, not this.
Trying to draw a line.
And his response, simple, profound. Matter of fact, you saved. I protect until you are safe.
Wow. No negotiation there.
No. Hannah sighs, mutters, kind of exasperated. You're as stubborn as every man I've ever met.
Huh. A little bit of humor breaks through.
And the source notes, he almost smiled. The start of something really unusual.
That exchange is key, right?
Yeah.
Her first thought isn't safety from him, it's safety from the town. Shows how deep that fear of being ostracized runs.
Yeah.
And his response, you saved, I protect. It's a declaration. An ancient code, not a transaction. He is the shield now, flipping her fears upside down.
Totally.
And her comment about him being stubborn is almost smile. That's the first tiny spark of something. Not adversarial, maybe even familiar.
A shift from fear to our maybe grudging acceptance.
Oh, yeah. Acceptance of this unexpected protector. True protection sometimes comes from the place you least expect, and initially fear the most. D. A silent partnership.
Ooh.
Trust forged in shared silence.
So by noon that day, things are quiet again, the warriors are gone, but he stays, the man she still doesn't know the name of.
Right.
He doesn't say much, watches the horizon, like a soldier waiting for orders. And crucially, didn't ask for food, didn't ask for anything.
Interesting.
Instead, he starts doing things. Fixed the fence post she had failed to mend, chopped wood for the fire, gathered water from the well.
Contributing. Immediately.
Yeah, his wound's still seeping. She tries to stop him working, but he just says the same thing, quietly determined. You gave, I return.
Actions speaking louder than words.
Absolutely.
And that's fascinating, isn't it? This immediate nonverbal integration. His actions reveal this deep code of conduct.
It's not just saying thanks.
No, he's actively contributing to the household survival. Fixing things she couldn't manage in her despair. You gave, I return. It feels like more than just him. It feels like a cultural value. Reciprocity. Obligation.
Building trust without words.
Exactly. Through shared effort, mutual service, not through talking it out.
By evening, Hannah finds herself setting 2 plates on the porch table, one for her, one for him.
A small shift. Significant.
Almost unconscious, maybe. He just nods when she does it, a silent acknowledgement. But Still, he didn't eat until she had taken the first bite.
Respect, showing deference.
Yeah. And that night, she sees him sitting out under the stars, keeping watch, not like a guest, not a prisoner, but a shadow of something she couldn't name yet, something that felt safe.
Wow. Safety coming from the source of her fear.
This becomes their new normal, this quiet vigilance.
That routine.
Yeah.
The two plates, him waiting for her. It starts to normalize the situation, right? Turns this terrifying encounter into just shared existence. And him becoming something that felt safe. That's a huge psychological shift for her. A glimpse of a new kind of peace.
Counterintuitive, almost.
Totally. The immediate threat is gone, replaced by this quiet, consistent protection. It creates this unexpected security.
2 nights pass. Nobody comes from Dry Hollow. No check-ins, no questions about the warriors. Nothing.
Ominous silence.
The source says the silence was almost more dangerous than the noise, like the town's judgment hanging in the air.
Chilling.
But strangely, within that silence, Hannah starts to feel in her bones something was shifting. A different kind of quiet settles over the ranch. Feels like peace, not judgment.
The town's silence is a threat, yeah. Judgment, ostracism. But for Hannah, inside the ranch, something else is happening.
A deepening trust.
Seems like it. More powerful than the external threat. It shows that real safety isn't always about society's approval. Sometimes it's in one unexpected presence, how perceived dangers can become comfort.
Every morning, the Apache man, still nameless to her, is up before dawn. Tends the fire, brushes the horses, keeps the ranch going.
Taking responsibility.
His limp gets better. The bandage stays, though. Hannah offers to change it. A gesture of care. He shakes his head. No, wound must stay. She asks why. He touches the feathers around his neck, this meaningful gesture, and says, so they remember. Pain teaches.
Wow, that's deep.
The longest sentence he'd spoken yet, the source says. A rare look into his philosophy.
That's incredibly insightful. Wound must stay. Pain teaches. It's not just being tough. It's about bearing witness to suffering, not hiding it.
Scars as stories.
Exactly. For his people, maybe scars are narratives, lessons, reminders of resilience, the cost of survival. Pain isn't just bad, it's a teacher. A harsh one, but essential.
Part of who you are.
Right, and this quiet period, this shared routine, it's building trust way deeper than words could. Through actions, brief, heavy statements. She's starting to see his depth, a real bridge forming.
And by now, Hannah stopped asking him to leave.
Accepted his presence.
Yeah. Something about him feels not just safe, but essential, like the ranch breathed easier with him near.
Essential. That's powerful.
He still never enters the house, respects that boundary, never asks why she's alone, never touches her.
Maintaining distance, yet close.
But she notices small things, these quiet acts of care. A rabbit cleaned and left near her door, a broken drawer in the barn quietly fixed, her boots polished and placed just so. Little gestures.
Acts of care she realizes that no one had done for her since before James died. Not just chores, right? They feel like quiet affirmations, like someone sees her.
Yeah, think about those quiet acts of support in your own life, you know, the ones that speak volumes. What does it mean for someone's presence to feel essential? What's fascinating here is all this nonverbal communication, this understanding growing between them. Those small acts like polishing her boots, they show respect, even intimacy, without words or touch.
Meeting a need she maybe didn't even know she had. Exactly. Yeah. Filling that void, James left. His presence isn't just physical protection, it's emotional nurturing, making him essential not out of dependency, but this deep, unspoken bond of mutual care. True support offered without a single declaration. The clash with society. Words as smoke, water as root.
But that fragile peace they've built, it gets shattered pretty quick when Hannah has to go into town. Needs flour, coffee, basic supplies.
Back into the lion's den.
Totally. The second she walks into the general store, the room just hushes. Everyone stops talking.
That collective judgment again.
3 ranchers, described as hardened and bitter, just stare at her, openly hostile. One spits, "Back from your secret war camp, Hannah."
Oof, brutal.
She tries to ignore it, just wants her stuff. But then another one mutters, loud enough for everyone to hear, "They say you're keeping one of them out there, feeding him, sleeping with him?"
Wow. Direct accusation. Venomous.
The source says the words, cut like knives, sharp, meant to wound.
And that perfectly shows the power of rumor, right? And how quickly that hostility flares up again. The hush, the accusations, it's all that fear and prejudice bubbling right back to the surface. And the language, secret war camp, sleeping with him, it's meant to brand her, traitor, outcast, completely delegitimize her.
Such a stark contrast to the quiet respect back at the ranch.
Huge chasm between her reality and their prejudice story shows how one act of defiance can just ignite this backlash from people clinging to their biases.
Sheriff Maddox steps up then. He's described as not a cruel man, but he wasn't brave either.
Ah, the conflicted authority figure.
Yeah. He warns her about reports, gossip, harboring enemies, trying to manage it maybe without actually confronting the prejudice.
Walking a fine line. Or maybe just avoiding the hard part.
Hannah's defiance, though. It's clear now. Unwavering. He's not an enemy. He was wounded. I gave him water. She just states her truth.
Good for her,
Yeah.
standing her ground.
And then, in this powerful little protest, she leaves. Without the coffee, without the flour, choosing her principles over convenience, over their approval, even over her own needs, maybe.
That ambivalence from the sheriff is key, isn't it? He's not evil, but he's stuck in the community's mindset. Can't challenge it.
Right.
His warning, reports, gossip, reveals the town's fear, their inability to see the basic humanity. But Hannah's reply, he's not an enemy. I gave him water. That's her moral truth, her first real public stand.
Saying, I define my reality.
Exactly. Courage isn't always big showdowns. Sometimes it's just quietly stating your truth when everyone condemns you, even if it costs you.
So that night, back at the ranch, this confrontation is weighing on her.
Understandable.
She tells Takakota, yeah, we find out later that's his name. They think I'm a traitor. They think I'm sleeping with you.
Laying it bare.
He stops sharpening his knife, considers her words, then offers this piece of wisdom. Such a contrast to the town's venom. He says, words are smoke.
Words are smoke. Powerful.
Hannah's response is sharp, though. Comes from her own pain. Easy for you to say, you're not the one they'll run out of town. She knows how real that smoke can feel.
Yeah, she lives with the consequences. That exchange really highlights the difference, doesn't it? Society's smoke of gossip versus Takakota's idea of something deeper, a life-giving root. His words are smoke. It's philosophical, right? Saying gossip is flimsy, lacks real power unless you let it have power.
Wisdom from a different world.
Totally. But her response, easy for you to say, grounds it immediately in her painful reality. It's a clash of worldviews, but it deepens their understanding of each other's burdens. The takeaway. Words can hurt, yeah, but true meaning that's rooted in something much more solid.
But Takakota doesn't just dismiss her fear. He leans forward, speaks quietly but firmly, explains the deeper meaning of her giving him water. You gave water to a dying man. That is not shame. That is root.
Root. Interesting word choice.
He explains, in my people, a woman who gives water gives life, not just to body, to spirit. You gave what cannot be repaid.
Wow. A sacred act in his culture.
Yeah. A long silence falls, heavy with this new understanding. Then Hannah whispers, recognizing something in him. You speak like someone who's lost more than blood.
Ah, seeing his own pain.
His eyes darken, confirming it without words.
That moment really raises the question of different cultural values, right? Honor, obligation, the sacredness of life. So different from Dry Hollow's view.
Completely.
The idea of root. It connects her compassion to something spiritual, communal in his culture. Giving water isn't just charity, it's fundamental. It creates this unbreakable spiritual bond, preserving life and soul.
What cannot be repaid.
Exactly. And Hannah's observation lost more than blood. She immediately senses that shared depth of suffering, sees past his physical wound to deeper scars. It hints at the vulnerability that's going to bind them even closer. True connection starts with seeing that shared humanity even across huge cultural divides. F trials by fire, defending the home, redefining belonging.
The town's hostility. It doesn't just stay as words or shunning. It boils over into violence.
Escalation. Predictable, sadly.
One night, Hannah wakes up to terrifying sounds. Wood breaking, voices outside, a scream cut short.
Oh no.
5 men, masked, drunk on power. They've come to deliver their own brutal justice. And Brody, the man who owned half the town and wanted the other half, he's leading them.
Brody again. Power and greed fueling it.
They throw torches, the chicken coop goes up in flames, flames lick the dry straw like a starting dog, screams, feathers flying, it's a direct assault.
Chilling imagery. That's not just harassment, it's trying to burn her out.
Yeah.
An attack on her livelihood, her existence, her defiance.
Trying to force her to conform or just leave.
Yeah.
But Hannah, even with that useless rifle, she doesn't hesitate, grabs it, runs barefoot right into the chaos.
Symbolic defiance.
Brody, smug, taunts her. You keep betting savages you'll lose more than chickens, but before she can even answer, Takakota bursts in.
Ah, the protector arrives.
Not frantic, though. Walking deliberate calm, a predator already in motion.
Controlled power.
It's described as a blur of bone and blade, a crunch of bone. Men start falling. Fast, efficiently. The fifth guy sees it, turns tail, and runs.
Wow. Efficient is the word. Takakota's entrance there. It's stunning. Shows his strength, his discipline. He's not out of control. He's that predator in motion.
Yeah.
Lethal defense.
Such a contrast to when she found him.
Totally. Then he needed her mercy. Now he is her protection. Fulfilling his vow with terrifying precision, and the fact that the men are broken, not killed, one runs, suggests it was calculated.
A warning, not slaughter.
Right. Asserting dominance,
Wow.
sending a clear message. She's protected. There are consequences. It shows how honor and reciprocity dried him, often so different for the civilized ways.
The yard goes silent again. Heavy quiet after the violence. Takakota, knife wet, just tells her firmly, I stay until all danger sleeps.
An absolute commitment.
And Hannah, shaken, heart pounding. She doesn't question him, just nods. Because the source says, for the first time since James died, she didn't want to be alone anymore.
That's the turning point, isn't it?
Yeah. The fear of isolation is finally less than the need for this companionship.
That's where it gets truly transformative. The perceived threat is her protector. His vow, until all danger sleeps. Simple, powerful loyalty. And her realization, not wanting to be alone, is profound. Not just about safety anymore. It's a longing for companionship, for a shared burden, a real partnership forming, rooted in survival and mutual need.
By morning, the attackers are gone, vanished. Hannah doesn't ask questions. Some things are better left unsaid.
Right.
But word travels fast in Dry Hollow. By midday, Sheriff Maddox is back with 2 deputies. Grim faces.
There we go again.
The deputy jumps right in, hostile. She's hiding a savage. They were trying to run him off, protect the town.
Blaming the victim, twisting the narrative.
But Hannah's not trembling anymore. She fires back fiercely. They broke into my home in the middle of the night. You call that protection, calling out their hypocrisy.
Good for her. Reclaiming her agency. Yeah, the town's narrative immediately flips it, right? Their violent attack becomes protection. Shows their prejudice, their refusal to see her home as legitimate or acknowledge their violence. But Hannah's defense, pointing out the obvious home invasion, that's crucial. She's defending her truth now, her right to define her reality against their bias, showing her growing strength.
Then Takakota appears. From behind the barn, no weapon, just his silent presence.
Which is enough.
Enough to make the deputies reach for their guns. He raises his hands, steps back, clear non-aggression, but his presence alone is a force.
Undeniable.
This lets Maddox deliver his ultimatum. Trying to regain control. You've got to choose Hannah, the town, or him. You can't have both.
Forcing an impossible choice.
Hannah's reply, defiant, cuts right through it. I never asked for either.
Boom. Refusing their terms.
Leaves the sheriff with a heavy heart, the deputy with fire in his eyes, a line drawn in the dust.
Takakota's silent appearance. It's so powerful. Highlights the fear his presence alone evokes, and Maddox's ultimatum, trying to box her in. But her response, I never asked for either. That's her asserting her independence.
From the town and from him, in a way.
Exactly. Personal sovereignty. Declaring her right to define her own life. True freedom often means rejecting those false choices others impose, right? And carving your own path, even if it's lonely.
Later that evening by the fire, Hannah's struggling, despairing. I used to believe this land was home. Now I'm not sure it was ever mine. Questioning everything.
Grappling with what belonging even means now.
Takakota looks at her. Firelight softening his face, offers this powerful counter-truth, probably from his own experience of loss. Home is not a place. It is a choice.
Wow. That lands heavily.
Hannah whispers, vulnerable, and what if I chose wrong?
Laying her fear bare.
His answer, quiet, unwavering, the deepest promise, then we fight for it.
Chills. That redefinition of home, it's universal, isn't it? For Hannah, home was tied to property, to James, to acceptance. Takakota, who's likely lost his own lands, offers this profound truth. Home isn't external. It's an internal commitment. A choice. Something worth fighting for.
Empowering her.
Totally. Moves her from passive victim to active participant in defining her own belonging. The core idea, belonging is less about where you are, more about who you're with, and the shared commitment to that connection. G, the invisible thread. Scars, stories, and unspoken truths.
The town's hostility doesn't just vanish, though. Next day, it's open shunning.
Predictable.
Church doors slam shut when she gets near. Mothers pull kids away. The preacher turns his back. Someone even throws a stone, hits her shoulder.
Physical assault now. Awful.
But Hannah, She doesn't cry, doesn't stop, just keeps going, returns home,
Right.
and finds something new on her porch. A handmade object, a small woven charm of straw and feathers, Apache protection.
A gift from him. Wow.
She knows he's nearby, watching, protecting. Not because he owed her, but because something had shifted between them. A thread invisible but strong had been tied. This charm. It feels like a tangible symbol of that new bond.
That persistent shunning escalating to throwing a stone.
Yeah.
It just shows how deep their prejudice runs. But his gift, the protection charm.
That's profound care. Solidarity.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's symbolically embracing her into his world, offering her his people's spiritual protection, that invisible but strong thread. It signifies a bond beyond words, deepening with every threat they face together.
A silent declaration. Like she's part of his tribe now.
And maybe he's part of hers, a new kind of tribe forming.
But the tension flares up again. The chicken coop attacked a second time. Fire again.
Brody won't quit.
This time Brody's clearly visible, bolder. He's got a branding iron, a rope. Looks like he means serious harm.
This is escalating dangerously.
But this time Hannah's not just watching. Takakota moves in, calm, efficient, disarms Brody, pins him, incapacitates him, but doesn't kill him.
Controlled force again. And Hannah. She steps right up beside Takakota. Levels the rifle, shaking, maybe, but aiming. Her voice steady. Tells Brody, I don't have to shoot you. He already spared you once.
Whoa. Active partner now.
She sees the blood on the fence, truth in the soil. This bond solidified between them.
That's a critical evolution, isn't it? Hannah's active partnership.
Totally transformed.
She's not just being protected, she's participating.
Yeah.
Defending her home, her chosen life, leveling the rifle, her defiant words. She's gone from trembling widow to formidable ally.
Standing by him.
Showing her own agency. Her willingness to share the risk. That blood on the fence, truth in the soil. Beautiful way to capture the visceral nature of their shared struggle. The bond forged in fire. True partnership means shared risk, shared defense. Deeper than any agreement.
After that attack, Takakota does something. Quiet, significant. He carves a memory for Hannah on wood. Explains it means, you gave me water, then you gave me choice to stay.
Acknowledging her role. Profoundly.
Yeah. And Hannah, in return, finds the courage to confide in him about James, how he kept me in a safe little box, loved the idea of me more than the woman I really was. Deep, personal vulnerability.
Opening up completely.
On Takakota's response, quiet, powerful, no hesitation. You were always worthy.
Oh, wow. That must have hit hard.
The source says it hit her like the first drop of rain after months of drought. Healing, affirmation she desperately needed.
It's fascinating how vulnerability, shared trauma, they forge connections stronger than any barrier. Takakota's carving.
Right.
It acknowledges her strength, her agency in his life,
Right.
and his insight about James, his affirmation, you were always worthy. That's pivotal for Hannah's liberation.
Yeah.
Frees her from feeling inadequate.
Yeah.
Validates her worth in a way James never did.
And this comes from someone from an enemy culture.
Exactly. Shows that profound comfort sometimes comes from the one who truly sees you. Makes you ask how our past shapes empathy, how partnership starts with carrying each other's burdens.
And the bond deepens even more through stories, shared scars. First time Hannah touches his skin, it's an accident. Moving a heavy beam, she sees this old big scar on his arm, asks about it,
Opening the door.
and he tells her, opens up. I was 13, the soldiers came, burned crops, took his brother, murdered his mother. He bled alone under a tree for 3 days.
Oh, God. Profound trauma.
And his reason for staying with her, risking everything. Because you remember what others choose to forget?
Wow. That's heavy.
He sees something in her, a capacity for witness, for empathy that he hasn't found anywhere else.
That moment of shared vulnerability,
Yeah.
it transforms everything again. From protector protected to something mutual.
Yeah.
That accidental touch opens the door to his deepest wound, not just the recent one, his story. Immense loss, trauma. It creates this immediate empathetic bond, reveals the huge cost of the conflicts that shaped him.
Puts everything in context.
And his reason for staying, because you remember, it's about the power of witness, empathy. He thinks Hannah, unlike the town, can see and acknowledge the full truth of suffering, his and hers. That shared understanding is their foundation. True acceptance means holding another's painful history.
That night, a miracle. It rains. The first real rain in weeks.
Cleansing, life-giving.
They just stand out in it, in the mud. Soaked to the bone, not speaking, not touching, just being, feels like cleansing, washing away the dust, the pain.
Beautiful metaphor. Spiritual purification.
Later, she's tending his older shoulder wound, sees his other scars, like a roadmap of a hard life. She observes, every scar is a story, isn't it?
True.
He nods, and every story leaves a mark. Then his profound conclusion, the culmination of it all. And some marks lead us to the people who can carry them with us.
Wow. That's the heart of it.
Hannah realizes with this jolt she carries his scars now. And maybe, just maybe, he had started to carry hers too.
That rain. It's like washing away the prejudice, the trauma, allowing new growth, tending his old wounds, seeing his other scars. That's deep intimacy, acceptance, acknowledging his past and his statement. Scars leading us to the people who can carry them with us. That is their bond. Partnership built on shared burdens, mutual understanding, empathy. They're not just surviving together, they're healing together.
Carrying each other's history.
Turning pain into shared strength. That's where their true home starts to reside. Not just the land, in their connection. Shared vulnerability, creating unbreakable bonds, each reclaiming what's hers, a new definition of someone.
So you have this internal calm, this healing happening at the ranch. But then, bam, a shocking discovery. External.
Oh, what now?
Hannah finds this hidden letter in an old chest of James's, addressed to Mr. Brody.
Brody? No.
Oh, yes. Agreeing to sell the property at the offered price once my wife is informed. Dated 3 weeks before James died.
Oh, my God. Betrayal. The deepest kind.
She realizes the truth. He planned to sell the ranch out from under her. To Brody. The same man now leading attacks against her.
Unbelievable.
She finally sees James clearly. Realizes he loved control, not land, not you. Painful knowledge. But also freeing, maybe.
Well, that's a cinematic twist, right?
Yeah.
Recontextualizes everything about her past, her marriage.
Yeah.
Reveals this colder side to James she maybe couldn't see through grief.
Yeah.
And realizing he loved control, not land, not you. Painful, yes, but liberating. Lets her shed that idealized past, face reality. Fuels her resolve now.
Gives her clarity, agency.
Yeah. True freedom often comes from confronting those uncomfortable truths about past relationships.
So armed with this painful truth, Hannah acts. Courageously, decisively.
What does she do?
Rides into town, alone, not in work clothes, in her best dress, the one she hadn't touched since the funeral.
Reclaiming her dignity.
Symbolically.
Confronts Judge Leland with the letter.
Yeah.
He confirms no legal transfer was ever filed.
Yes. Back at the ranch, though, the weight of it all. Still heavy. She tells Takakota, with a vulnerability she's never shown anyone, I don't want to carry this alone anymore.
Reaching out completely.
His hand comes up, slowly, gently, rests over hers. Not pulling her closer, just holding.
A quiet connection.
No kiss, no declaration. Only two people broken by different worlds, sharing a truth too sacred for words. An unspoken covenant.
That shows her transformation, doesn't it? Her assertiveness. Riding in alone, best dress. It's a statement of self-respect, defiance, reclaiming her identity.
Taking control back.
And her confession to Takakota, I don't want to carry this alone, but that's huge vulnerability, huge trust. His gentle response, hand over hers. It's this deep, nonverbal affirmation of their partnership. Unspoken support, a sacred bond forged in shared truth, just being present for each other's burdens.
The final showdown in town.
Yeah.
It's powerful, decisive.
Okay, how does it go down?
They ride in side by side, united front against Brody.
Showing their strengths together.
Brody, smug, overconfident, pulls a pistol immediately, thinks he holds all the cards.
Arrogant fool.
But Takakota moves with the speed of a storm breaking, a blur. Disarms Brody, pins him. Doesn't kill him, just humbling him before the whole town.
Masterful. Controlled power. Justice.
Leaves Brody utterly deflated, powerless.
That confrontation. So satisfying narratively, right? The climax of their shared defense. Riding in side by side symbolizes their unity.
Yeah.
And Takakota's action. Swift, decisive, but not lethal. That's critical. Shows his skill, his power, but also restraint. He doesn't sink to Brody's level.
Humiliating him is more effective.
Exactly. A public assertion of the new order. Makes it clear to everyone. Hannah's protected. Her home is safe.
The judge sees it all. The truth. The power shift. Hands Hannah the signed paper. Your deed. It's yours now, legally, permanently.
Victory. Hard won.
The judge, maybe still nervous, suggests they move farther out, for safety. Put distance between them and the town's lingering hate.
Practical advice, maybe.
But Hannah's response. She looks right at Takakota, says, we'll consider a lot of things.
We, not I. Her future isn't solitary anymore.
Exactly. That night, Coffee under the stars. Hannah reflects. I thought I would lose everything.
Understandable feeling.
Takakota corrects her. Quiet wisdom. You found something instead. She asks, what? He hesitates, then says with more courage than she'd ever seen in him, someone.
Oh, wow, that's the culmination, isn't it?
Yeah.
The journey from desperation to finding this deep, unspoken partnership, redefining found. The deed secures her physical home, yes, but her saying, we'll consider, shows her definition of home is now tied to it.
Fundamentally intertwined.
And Takakota's final line, you found someone instead. That's the emotional peak, transcends property, safety, even companionship. It speaks to that deep human need for connection, for someone who sees you, values you, where you truly belong.
She found her someone.
And that someone is her true home. Sometimes the greatest discovery isn't a place or a thing, it's a person, a connection, the quiet home, a new beginning forged in silence and choice.
Weeks pass. Seasons shift. Autumn arrives. The ranch settles into this new rhythm.
A quiet peace.
Yeah. Takakota stays. Not really a guest anymore. Not a ghost. Something in between. His presence is constant grounding, reliable, enduring. Like the hills, like the windmill.
Part of the landscape now, part of her life.
Their world, once defined by fear, isolation, now it just breathes with this quiet, shared peace.
His continued presence, settling into that constant grounding role, it speaks volumes about how enduring their bond is, not temporary, a new way of life. That description, something in between, suggests this unique, almost spiritual integration, a profound belonging that's not traditional, maybe not easily defined, a deep, stable, authentic. Their quiet companionship is the bedrock now.
One evening, they're by the well, the place it all started.
The origin point.
Takakota, quiet, solemn, points it out. This is where it began. I was ready to die here, and you gave me life.
Acknowledging the depth of her act.
Hannah, still modest, says, I didn't do much.
Humble.
But he corrects her. Firmly. Kay's unwavering, full weight of gratitude in his words. You did everything.
Wow. Because for him, that single act, it changed everything.
Yeah. Catalyst for his whole new existence.
That moment by the well, the source of life, the site of their first meeting, becomes this sacred spot in their story. His statement, you did everything, underscores the huge impact of her compassion. Not just kindness, the genesis of his survival, his purpose, his connection.
Affirms her power, her role in his journey.
Right. Shows how the smallest act can have the most profound consequences, altering not just one life, but two.
He then gives her a necklace, a tangible symbol of their bond.
What's it like?
Woven with things from his culture, their history. Beads of bone and turquoise threaded with a single raven feather and a stone carved into the shape of a wave.
Beautiful. Symbol.
He explains. For his people, water is more than survival. It's spirit, memory, the bond between two lives, and the stone. It means you are not alone.
Oh, that's perfect. The ultimate gift of belonging.
But he respects her autonomy. Adds, only if you choose to wear.
Giving her the choice.
Hannah looks into his eyes, sees the depth of the gift, the choice, replies simply, powerfully, I choose.
Mutual declaration, unspoken vow, that gift.
Yeah.
Incredible symbolism, weaving together his culture, nature, their history. The raven feather, wisdom, transformation. The wavestone, water, spirit, memory, deeply meaningful.
Yeah.
And you are not alone, addresses her deepest fear. Her past isolation. His caveat, only if you choose, respects her freedom. Makes her I choose so powerful. A mutual commitment, a connection deeper than words. True belonging isn't imposed, it's chosen. Freely. Mutually. Often through these profound unspoken symbols.
Slowly, almost invisibly, the town starts to shift too.
Really? How?
Whispers fade, become background noise. Kindness at last began to return. Slowly, bit by bit, an old woman leaves eggs on her porch. A child shyly leaves flowers. No big apologies, just small acts. Tiny bridges being rebuilt.
Acknowledgement. Human connection returning.
Sheriff Maddox stops by. Not here on business this time. Maybe curiosity, maybe his heart softened. Asks if Takakota will ever leave.
Testing the waters.
Hannah looks at Takakota. A quiet smile. Gives the simple, powerful answer that defines their new reality. He already has a place.
Perfect. Definitive. Home. That slow, grudging acceptance from the town. Feels realistic, right? Small acts, not grand apologies, shows prejudice can be chipped away, not by force, but by consistent courage, the undeniable evidence of a thriving, protected home.
Yeah.
And Hannah's final statement to Maddox. He already has a place. That's it. The declaration of their established home. A new belonging that transcended norms, laws, bias. Her ultimate choice, a quiet triumph, shows how change can start with small, persistent acts of defiance.
That night, under the stars, a familiar comfort now, Hannah leans her head gently against Takakota's shoulder.
Quiet intimacy, earned.
A moment, deeply resonant, she whispers, maybe a question from her old life lingering. Do you ever miss the life he had before?
A vulnerable question.
He's quiet for a long time, silence holding loss and memory, then answers, soft but clear. Yes, but this is something new.
Acknowledging the past, embracing the present.
And together they just listen. To the wind, the water in the well, the deep, settled silence that now felt like home.
Peace, earned through fire, home forged in the unlikeliest bond. That final scene encapsulates their whole journey beautifully. The quiet intimacy, the comfort, trust, speaks volumes, no grand declarations needed. His answer, acknowledging the past but embracing the something new. That's about growth, adaptation, finding purpose after loss. And that silence that now felt like home, full circle. From oppressive isolation to shared quietude, peace, security, belonging found not in the place but in each other, home forged in the most unlikely partnership, love in its deepest form, arriving quietly. Outro.
Wow, what an incredible journey we've just walked through with Hannah and Takakota today. This deep dive, it teaches us so much, doesn't it, about the resilience of the human spirit.
It really does.
We've seen that radical power of kindness, how one tiny act, really a cup of water, can defy generations of fear, deep prejudice.
How vulnerability can lead to profound compassion.
Yeah, and it highlights that remarkable resilience found in these completely unexpected partnerships, right? How trust gets forged in silence, through quiet acts, through facing threats together.
Absolutely. It's a powerful reminder that prejudice can be challenged, slowly worn down by individual action, and that true courage often means showing compassion exactly when it's hardest, when everything tells you to run.
Quiet defiance, turning fear into connection.
Yeah.
And ultimately, this story just completely redefines what it means to choose your home, choose your belonging.
Right. It's not just a place, not what society says you should have.
It's a choice, a commitment, a fight you're willing to make alongside someone who truly sees you, supports you, carries your burdens while you carry theirs, creating your own sanctuary, even when the world outside is hostile.
This story, it's about finding home, not just in a place, but in another person. It's about the quiet strength of empathy, the healing power of shared burdens, shared vulnerability, and how connection, love in its broadest sense, it can arrive silently, challenge everything you thought you knew, and transform your idea of belonging. Humanity's deepest bonds often get forged in that crucible of shared adversity.
Sometimes the most powerful acts, the ones that really change lives, defy the narratives. There's the smallest things, a cup of water, a place to rest, a word not even spoken but deeply understood.
Yeah.
Hannah's story reminds us kindness carries risk, definitely, but it also carries immense, unexpected reward. And that love, it doesn't always shout. Sometimes it arrives quietly, stays through the fire, through the dark nights.
Peaks with action.
Exactly. Actions far louder, far more profound than words ever could be. So as you think about this deep dive, maybe reflect on this. What acts of kindness, however small they seemed, have you witnessed or maybe offered that defied expectations, that created an unexpected, lasting bond?
Good question.
And after hearing Hannah and Takakota's journey, what does home truly mean to you now? Beyond just, the physical addresses. That's something to ponder.